In the realm of international commerce, governments employ specific instruments to shape the flow of goods and services across their borders. Two prominent tools in this arsenal are tariffs and quotas. Tariff, a fiscal lever on imports. A tariff can be defined as a levy or duty imposed by a nation's customs authority on merchandise imported from foreign entities. Think of it as a tax specifically applied at the point of entry for goods crossing national boundaries. This tax is typically calculated in one of two ways. Ad valorem tariff, expressed as a percentage of the imported goods value. For instance, a 10% ad valorem tariff on a shipment of electronics valued at $100,000 would result in a tariff payment of $10,000. Specific tariff, a fixed charge levied on each unit of the imported good irrespective of its value. For example, a $2 tariff on every imported pair of shoes. Intuitively, a tariff acts as a price escalator for imported goods within the domestic market. By increasing the cost of foreign products, tariffs can make domestically produced alternatives relatively more competitive. Quota, a quantitative constraint on imports. A quota, on the other hand, represents a direct quantitative restriction on the volume or value of a particular good that can be imported into a country within a specified time frame. Unlike tariffs, which influence price, quotas directly control the amount of a foreign product entering the market. Imagine a scenario where a nation imposes an annual quota of 50,000 imported automobiles. Once this threshold is reached, even if consumers are willing to purchase more foreign cars, no additional units can legally enter the country until the next quota period. This creates an artificial scarcity of the imported good. The strategic role in international trade and relations. Tariffs and quotas are not merely technical trade measures, they are potent instruments that significantly influence the dynamics of international trade and the intricate web of relationships between nations. Protection of nascent or strategic industries. Governments may deploy tariffs or quotas to shield emerging domestic industries from the intense competition of more established foreign players, allowing them time to mature and become competitive. Similarly, industries deemed vital for national security might receive such protection to ensure domestic self-sufficiency. Revenue generation, primarily tariffs. Tariffs serve as a source of revenue for the importing government, although this is often a secondary objective compared to protectionist goals. Addressing trade imbalances. Nations grappling with persistent trade deficits, where imports significantly exceed exports, might employ these measures to curb the inflow of foreign goods and encourage domestic consumption and production. Retaliatory measures and diplomatic leverage. In instances of perceived unfair trade practices by another nation, such as dumping goods below cost or providing unfair subsidies, a country might impose tariffs or quotas as a retaliatory measure or as a tool to exert diplomatic pressure and encourage policy changes. However, the imposition of tariffs and quotas can also have profound implications for international relations. Escalation of trade disputes. The implementation of trade barriers by one nation can often trigger retaliatory actions from affected countries, potentially leading to trade wars where escalating tariffs and quotas harm all participating economies. Strained bilateral relationships. Trade disputes can spill over into other areas of diplomatic engagement, souring overall relationships between countries. Distortion of global markets. These measures can distort natural market forces, leading to inefficient allocation of resources on a global scale. Country-specific application. It is indeed common for nations to apply varying rates of tariffs and quotas to different countries. This differentiated treatment can stem from several factors. Preferential trade agreements. Countries within free trade areas or customs unions typically grant each other significantly reduced or zero tariffs and may have relaxed quota restrictions. Most favored nation, MFN principle, WTO framework. Under the WTO's MFN principle, member countries are generally obligated to extend the same favorable tariff rates to all other members. However, there are exceptions for regional trade agreements and preferential treatment for developing nations. Political and economic considerations. Bilateral relationships, strategic alliances, and specific economic concerns can lead a nation to impose unique tariff or quota regimes on particular trading partners. For example, a country might impose higher tariffs on goods from a nation it perceives as engaging in unfair trade practices. The role of international organizations. The World Trade Organization, WTO, stands as the primary international body governing the rules of global trade. Establishing the rule-based system. The WTO provides a framework of rules and agreements aimed at promoting predictable and freer trade. It encourages the reduction of trade barriers, including tariffs and quotas. Forum for negotiations. The WTO serves as a platform for member countries to negotiate trade agreements and address trade-related issues. Dispute resolution mechanism. A crucial function of the WTO is to provide a mechanism for resolving trade disputes between member nations, helping to prevent unilateral actions from escalating into damaging trade wars. In the current global scenario, while the WTO advocates for trade liberalization, tariffs and quotas remain relevant tools for governments. The tension between the desire for open markets and the need to protect domestic interests or address perceived unfair trade practices continues to shape international economic relations. Recent U.S. tariffs and quotas and their impact. As of today, May 5, 2025, the United States has indeed implemented significant tariffs and, in some cases, quotas on goods from various countries. These actions have often been predicated on arguments of national security, the need to protect domestic industries, or to address trade imbalances and alleged unfair trade practices. Rationale. The stated reasons for these impositions have varied, including concerns about intellectual property theft, the impact of imports on domestic employment, and the need to ensure a level playing field for American businesses. Targeted countries and sectors. These measures have notably affected imports from countries like China, as well as specific sectors such as steel, aluminum, and certain agricultural products. Retaliatory responses. The imposition of U.S. tariffs has often elicited retaliatory tariffs from affected trading partners, creating a cycle of trade friction. The impact of such widespread tariff implementation by a major economic power like the U.S. on global trade and economic growth is multifaceted. Increased costs and inflation. Tariffs directly increase the cost of imported goods, which can translate to higher prices for consumers and businesses in the importing country, potentially fueling inflation. Supply chain disruptions. Businesses that rely on global supply chains can face increased costs and uncertainty as tariffs disrupt established patterns of trade. Reduced trade volumes. Higher tariffs and quota restrictions can lead to a decrease in the overall volume of international trade. Slower economic growth. The combination of increased costs, supply chain disruptions, and reduced trade can dampen economic growth both domestically and globally. Uncertainty surrounding trade policies can also deter investment. Trade diversion. Faced with tariffs on goods from one country, businesses may seek to source similar products from other nations, leading to a reshuffling of global trade flows. Damage to international cooperation. Unilateral imposition of tariffs can undermine the spirit of international cooperation and the rules-based trading system embodied by the WTO. In conclusion, tariffs and quotas are powerful tools with the potential to significantly influence international trade patterns and the relationships between nations. While they can serve legitimate purposes, their widespread or unilateral use can lead to negative consequences for global economic growth and international harmony. The current U.S. trade policies and the responses they have generated underscore the complexities and potential pitfalls of employing these trade barriers in a highly interconnected world.